Welcome to Crafty Chemist Designs. Today I have a great project for you. But first, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel so that you are alerted every time I drop a new video. On to the project. Today I'm going to show you how to create these fun cards. It's a nice FunFold card that opens completely. It's a regular size card and it will fit into a A2 size envelope by just pushing it down like this. Okay, I have seen these all over Facebook and Pinterest, and so I really had to figure out how to make these, and it's really easy. Let's start off by cutting the card base and the FunFold part. Okay, here I use Petunia Pop, which is one of the 2024-2026 in colors. This time I'm going to use Summer Splash, which is also one of the 2024-2026 in colors. I thought that they were nice Easter colors. So to make the card base, it's just a regular card base size. So we're going to cut this at 8.5 by 5.5. And I just have this in the 12 by 12 size, so that's what I'm using. Otherwise, you can just take an 8.5 by 11 piece and cut it in half. Okay, and then I'm going to score it at 4 1/4 along the 8.5 inch side. Again, just to make the regular card base. Okay. Okay, and then for this piece that you're folding, we need to make, it's 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. So that I'm going to make out of the same Summer Splash. So let's do 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. Okay, and then we need to score it. So we are going to score it at 1 inch. Two inch, 3 1/4, and 4 1/4. Okay, so to get this FunFold, let me show you how to do this. We're going to take the first one and make a valley fold. And then this one, we're going to make a mountain fold. This one, a mountain fold. And then this one, a valley fold. Okay, so it should look something like this. Let me get my bone folder and burnish the edges so it's nice and crisp. Okay, now we are going to do the white pieces here. I've got all of these backed in white, and that is 5 1/8 by 7/8, and you need 4 of those. Okay, now we need to cut the paper here, the DSP, and we need 4 of them of this design. I just chose to do these 4 different than the one on the top. So I am using the Summer Splash paper. I'm going to use this one, the dots, just like I did on that one. And for these, we need to cut it 5 inches. So 5 inches. by 3/4, and you need 4 of those. So those are going to go on these white pieces. Okay. Okay, now let's cut the pieces for the cross piece. I am using different pattern paper. I'm going to be using the same design from this one, but in Summer Splash. And this piece here, the big piece, is the white is 5 1/8 by 1 1/8. And then on the cross piece, the white is 1 1/8 by 3 1/8. Okay, so let's cut that. Let's cut 5 1/8. And then a 1 1/8. The middle piece is a little bit bigger than the other areas. Okay. And then the cross piece is 1 1/8 by 3 1/8. So let's do 1 1/8. By 3 1/8. Okay, so these are the 2 pieces for the cross. And then for the pattern pieces, so for this one and this one on the cross, it needs to be 1 by 5. Okay, and then 1 by 3. Okay, and the last thing we need to cut to make this card is we need an inside piece of white that I'm going to cut at 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, and then on this one, I did this piece of decorative white on the top. Okay, and that piece is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. Okay, so 4 1/8. And 5 3/8. Okay, now we have everything we need to make our card. Okay, so first let's get our piece that we scored and folded, the FunFold part, and let's decorate the top. Okay, so first we need to put down the 4 white pieces, and I'm going to use my green glue . And I'm just going to center it on each of the outside 4 panels. There should just be a little bit of a border around them. Okay, there's one. You don't want to use too much glue. There's two. Now make sure when you do it that they're not over the fold. Okay, let's do this one. Making sure it's not going to restrict the fold there. And this one. Now remember that center one is a little bit different width. Looks like it got a lot there on the edge. There we go. Okay. And now the center piece, as we take this bigger white piece. I think my glue is getting low. And really, I feel like this is a new bottle. I must have used it a lot. Okay. Center that really nice and try and match them up at the top. Okay, now let's put the decorative pieces on. I want the dots up. And these smaller ones go on the 4 outside pieces. And these should center right on there. Okay. There's really an unlimited possibility in how you could decorate these. I just felt like this 2024, 2026 in color paper pack, this is the 6x6 paper pack, felt very springy and Easter. So that's why I wanted to use it. I have seen people make these with the Thoughtful Journeys paper. You could use the Meandering Meadow paper. But I think that these spring-like pastel colors are really good. Okay, and one more. Okay, last one of these 4. Okay, and then the center one, this is going to be the pop-out piece, this piece here. So I did use a different one there so that the cross stood out. I tried to use a more subtle pattern in the back so that the cross, the pattern on the cross was, you know, more prominent. Okay. Now we're not going to put the cross piece going this way on yet. Okay, let's let that dry for a second. Okay, so next we're going to put this FunFold part onto the card front. But first we need to put down this piece here. I've seen a lot of videos where people have created these, and there's lots of ways to do this. The first thing is you cannot center the cross onto the card front, because when you put it into the envelope, you're going to push this down, and so this will extend over the edge if you put it in the center. So you need to have it like this. So what you do on this side is up to you. The person that I watched how to make this was Queen Bee Creations, and she made a fancy border cut on here on this white. You could potentially put another piece of this pattern paper, you know, on the edge if you want to. So it's up to you. I'm going to do like Queen Bee Creations did because I think it looks really pretty, but it's up to you. Another thing you could do is cut the top part off to here, and then the front would be shorter than the back, and then maybe put some of the decorative paper there. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but let's go ahead and cut this with a fancy border. So I'm using the Fancy Borders die, and I used this one here. So let me get my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Okay, put this down. I'm just going to center this on here as best I can. You could tape it down if you wanted to. Let's see, with some washi tape. Just so it stays where you want it. You can also just leave it the square, the rectangle. You don't need to cut it. Let me put this down, out of the way. And now you can see we have a nice decorative edge to that. But like I said, you could just leave it straight. Okay, so now the first thing I want to do is put this on the card front, and then we will attach the FunFold part. There are some special considerations for putting on the FunFold part, so. Okay, I'm going to kind of center this top to bottom, but I'm going to leave a little bit of the summer splash showing on the right. Okay, so that it will look like this. Okay, and then we can put the inside on right now if you want, or you could do it later. I just thought this might give it some time to dry. I don't like to use a lot of glue on my inside piece because I feel like sometimes you can see the ridge from the glue. So I usually just try and put it over the edge around the outside. And then you can stamp in the center really easily. There's no glue hill. Okay. So now let's get our FunFold part. So which part I'm going to do it like this. Okay, so now the first thing we do is we're only going to put glue here on this side. Okay, and then we're going to center that right here on the left so that there's an equal amount of white space around the top, the side, and the bottom. Hold it there for a minute to keep it closed. Okay. Now you'll notice that this part does not come all the way to the edge. Okay, so we're not going to do it like that. We're going to do it more like this. So what I do is put it down like that, fold this back, and then add your glue to that. So I have this piece pushed all the way over. And then put the glue just on this right piece. Hope I have some glue left here. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of flip it down like that. And hold it for a second. Don't let it dry completely. Before it dries completely, then you want to push this the other way to make sure that this can fold back and forth. And it does. It does open and close. Okay, so that's kind of a good spot where we have it. Okay. Really nice. You can already see the design starting. Now here's the last part. Take the white piece for the cross, and I would put the DSP on first. Onto the white. Okay, now when you put this on, let me show you on the sample here while that dries. When you put this on, when you push this down, because this is how you're going to put it into the envelope, you want this cross piece to not extend beyond the edge here. And then when you put it this way, this side will extend. That's why we're going to put it this way into the envelope. Okay, so when you put this on, all we're going to do is put a little bit here in the center. Not across the whole thing, because part of it's hanging off the edge, right? So we're just going to kind of do it like that. And then I'm going to push this all the way to the right, and then stick it here, however far up or down you want, and make sure that this part is flush with the right edge. Okay? Okay. Now you can be done at this point and just stamp Happy Easter or something inside there. But you can see on here, I did put a circle, and I stamped a sentiment on it. So you can do that. You could put some flowers or whatever you want. Okay, so let's stamp on the circle. This is a 2-inch circle. And I'm going to use the Storybook Friends Easter Greetings. This is a really nice stamp set. I've made a few projects with this. And I have one coming next week. Okay. I am going to stamp this using Memento Tuxedo Black. Very nice. Okay, and then you can see on this one, I did ink up the edges. I'm going to use Bermuda Bay. It's an old Stampin' Up! Color. I do not have Summer Splash ink, so let's see if, I'm hoping this will be close enough. Bermuda Bay is a retired color. I got this in an old card kit. So I think that just helps it stand out a little bit. Okay, and then let's just glue this down. I'm just going to put some glue right here in the center, if my glue will come out. Okay. If you want, you could put leaves or something, you know, behind it, but I think that it stands out enough that it doesn't need anything else, but you can if you want to. Okay, there you have it. These are the viral cross Easter cards. I used the 2024-2026 6x6 paper pack. I can see you using some of the bokeh. This is the beautiful bokeh 6x6 paper. There might even be some in this full of life paper that might be appropriate. I don't know, like I was thinking, you know, things like this I think might be appropriate. Or if you want to make the background be a pretty design and then make this. I've seen people make the cross with wood grained paper. So that would be nice too. It would be nice to have, you know, the nice landscape background and then the wooden cross. Okay? If you make any of these, please post it on my Facebook page, Crafty Chemist Designs, or the Crafty Chemist Presents Stampin' Up. That's my Facebook group. If you want to purchase any of the products you see, you can go to my website at thecraftychemist.stampinup.net or check out the links in the description below. I hope you enjoyed the project. The products seen in the video can be purchased at my website, thecraftychemist.stampinup.net. I have a Facebook group, Crafty Chemist Designs, where I go live and do demos every Sunday. I also have a Facebook VIP group, The Crafty Chemist Presents Stampin' Up. Find me on Instagram at Crafty Chemist Designs, TikTok at Crafty Chemist Designs, YouTube at Crafty Chemist Designs, and my blog, periodicallycrafty.blogspot.com.